David Raya to Arsenal is heating up. Yes, people, welcome back to another Arsenal transfer news video. As always, if you do not want to miss daily Arsenal transfer news vids, this is a place to be. You have to subscribe down below on my road to 4,000 subscribers, and importantly, hit the bell notification button so you never miss a future video on this channel. And please do let me know your thoughts on David Raya to Arsenal in the comment section. I'd absolutely love to hear it. Let's get straight into the tweet brought today by Fabrizio Romano, the great Fabrizio Romano, stating this: David Raya prefers Arsenal move over Bayern Munich. Well, there we go. Deal depends on clubs now, but Arsenal expected to bid soon in order to accelerate talks. Negotiations with Bayern are currently off after loan offered in the morning. Not what player / Brentford wanted. So Arsenal just dunked on Bayern Munich again. It happened with Rice, happened with Havertz, it's happening again. The tables have turned, guys. Do you remember all that time ago when we moved to the Emirates? The Kroenkes were saying we're going to compete with Bayern Munich. Well, it's about damn time, but it looks like it's finally happening. Arsenal are the more attractive proposition to Bayern Munich. Who would have thought, hey, maybe we should go for Harry Kane. Bayern Munich want to sign Harry Kane. If we're the most attractive proposition, why not still Harry Kane over Bayern Munich? No, I'm joking. But seriously, this is really good news. The fact that David Raya wants to move to Arsenal. I was a bit worried, to be fair, that David Raya wouldn't want to come to Arsenal, given that Ramsdale's Arsenal's #1, and he'll sit there and think, I'm not going to get a lot of game time. But maybe Arteta's promised David Raya the potential to have a lot of game time here. And maybe he said to him, you know what? I want you to challenge for this #1 position and keep Ramsdale on his toes. I spoke obviously before in my video about David Raya when the news first broke about him that it could go one or two ways. It could be positive in the sense that Aaron Ramsdale and David Raya would have competition with one another. And as it always is in business, just like it is in football, competition is normally a good thing because it makes you go to the top of your game. Apple's only good because Samsung's along to push them on. Mercedes with BMW, etc. McDonald's with KFC. The competition keeps you on your toes and keeps you innovating, keeps you at the top of your game. But also at the same time, if you have competition with the goalkeeper, you can lose confidence a little bit. You can, because that's so much pressure, you can actually falter with too much pressure. I mean, look at Arsenal. Whenever we've had pressure on our shoulders, we seem to collapse a little bit. Last season with the title, the season before with top 4, pressure doesn't really seem to correlate with us getting results, at least with this football club. That's what I've seen in previous years. So we do need to change that definitely, because with all good things comes pressure, the added incentive to do your best and having a little bit more pressure on your shoulders. But who knows, man? And at the same time, look, the goalkeeper position is one that needs a lot of stability around it. The goalkeeper shouldn't really rotate. I understand rotating them for the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. I'm all for that. I'm a massive advocate for that. But for the majority of games, your goalkeeper you need to know who's #1. The back 4 needs to know, the rest of the team needs to know. Because the goalkeeper is a foundation. It's the first one on the team sheet. He's the first line of attack, and he's the strongest line of defense. You need to sit there as goalkeeper and be the rock of the team. Where everyone knows, that's my #1 goalkeeper. There needs to have A1 communication with the whole back 4 and the rest of the team. And I think Ramsdale has that. I like his personality. Yes, he'll make you a mistake or two, but I think Ramsdale's a really good goalkeeper. Equally, David Raya. I'm a massive fan of David Raya. Obviously, I don't watch an awful lot of Brentford games. I watch way more of Ramsdale than I have of David Raya. But whenever I've watched David Raya, he's really impressed me. I think he's a really good shot stopper. And with the ball at his feet, he's super important in Brentford's style of play with that as well. Being able to launch them on counter-attacks with those diagonals. So I think they're two really good goalkeepers. Genuinely, if I had to sit there and go, Raya and Ramsdale are both Arsenal keepers, you're sitting there and thinking that's the best rotation you can get in world football. In terms of two top keepers at the top of their game competing for that #1 spot. And who gets it? Who knows? Now, the fact that Raya wants to move over Bayern Munich makes it sound potentially like Arteta said, look, you know what? You might be getting first team football if you come. You're not going to be sitting there to be #2. You're going to be sitting there to compete. And I think Arteta's learned his lesson maybe a little bit, right? Because when he had Martinez and had Bern Leno, he seemed ready to ship out Emiliano Martinez because Bern Leno was a #1. And then he signed Aaron Ramsdale. And I think he signed that to compete with Bern Leno. But because of what happened so quickly, Ramsdale took over that #1 position so quickly. Leno became surplus to requirements. He didn't want Leno to be sitting on the bench and competing. But now it seems though he's reverting back to having two goalkeepers that can compete for that #1 spot. Because we know last season, right? Matt Turner, he did well when he came into the side, but everyone knew he was a #2 goalkeeper. It was a complete surprise if Matt Turner was starting ahead of Ramsdale in a Premier League or Europa League, in a Premier League game. It wasn't going to happen because Aaron Ramsdale was #1 and Matt Turner was #2, and that was it. No negotiations. There was no one sitting there and debating whether Turner should be #1 goalkeeper. Even if Aaron Ramsdale made a mistake leading to a goal, his position was safe next week. And maybe that's not good. And maybe it was good that Arteta's looking now to bring in David Raya. Maybe to bring in some competition. Because Ramsdale has been making some mistakes recently. And complacency is the biggest disease you can have, right? You could be at the top of your game. If you get complacent, that's when you start losing. Look at Djokovic, for example. Djokovic unbeaten on centre court in Wimbledon, right? Got a little bit complacent. No one's beating me on centre court. You had a kid called Carlos Alcaraz beat him in the Wimbledon final. Complacency is a powerful disease, man. Powerful, powerful. You can never think you're at the top of your game and never get ahead of yourself. And I don't believe Ramsdale's that type of man. I think he's got a really good character and a really good personality. But bringing in David Raya, maybe that just keeps him on his toes a little bit. So let's see what can happen. I do expect a bid to happen imminently. It could even be out by the time this video comes out for you guys. And if so, let's see what Arsenal do. Brentford are holding out for 40 million. They rejected bids from both Tottenham and Bayern Munich because Tottenham and Bayern Munich bid way under what Brentford valued the player at. But as I've said before, look, three parties need to move in the same direction. Brentford are willing to sell, Arsenal want to buy, and the keeper wants to go. So all three parties are looking for a move. Let's see if it can materialise. On the flip side, I've heard potentially that Brentford could be looking at Eddie Nketiah or following Balogun as a potential striker to bring into the side. We know Ivan Toney, who's a fantastic striker, by the way, has been banned because of gambling and will be out until January 2024. So in the meantime, they're going to need some kind of striker up there. Brian Mbemu ain't going to be enough. You're looking at Sharda potentially. He won't be enough. Whatever way you look at it, whatever perspective angle you look at it, right, Ivan Toney's going to be a massive, massive void to fill him at Brentford Football Club. There's going to be inevitable drop-off. If they can bring in a striker that won't be near Ivan Toney, of course, because you'll spend a lot of money on that, but at least someone that can bring you goals in the meantime, it's exactly what Brentford needs to see. And they've identified, I guess, Eddie Nketiah following Balogun as one of those players. So I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of potential swap deal could take place between the two parties. Let's see. Stuff like that has happened before in football. It's something that could materialise. And why not, man? It's time to start being smart in football. If we do a swap deal, Balogun for David Raya, and they give us a bit more money, and then we do a swap deal, Eddie Nketiah for Michael Olise, I wouldn't be against that. Genuinely, I wouldn't. There's two players going that aren't going to play a massive part in us potentially win the Premier League or Champions League, in for two great rotation players that will feature heavily. I wouldn't be against that one bit. So let's see what Arsenal do. Either way, the transfer news is started to ramp up. Let's see what happens. Let's see how Arsenal progress with Kudus, with David Raya. Are we gonna get those deals over the line? Because I'd love to see it happen. If we finish the window signing Kai Havertz, Urian Timber, Declan Rice, Mohamed Kudus, and David Raya, that's a really solid window, because then that sets us up for next summer or January to sign a top striker. And you're sitting there and thinking, wow, Arsenal really are back. I'm going to become one of the best teams in world football. That's my genuine opinion on it, because we weren't a million miles away from winning the league last season. I mean, if it weren't for City going on an incredible run and they went on to win the treble, we would be lifting the Premier League title last season and we wouldn't even be at the peak of our powers. And now we've got even better, bringing in players like Declan Rice, for example, Urian Timber. So I'm looking at this Arsenal team, I'm liking the way it's forming. I'm liking the way it's levelling up season upon season. Certain players are getting older, moving closer towards their prime. It's exactly what we want to see. As always, please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear it. Do you want to see David Raya come to Arsenal, or would you rather Arsenal spend the money elsewhere? Do you think Arsenal have got the money to sign Kudus and David Raya? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm not sure if we'd be able to sign both right now, but I do think we'll sign one or two. I'm leaning towards David Raya right now just because the likes like David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano have tweeted about him more than they've tweeted about Kudus, for example. But who knows? Anything can happen in football. It's a new day every day, and it seems to be new news hitting Arsenal Football Club every single day. Make sure you drop a like down below so this video gets out to more people in the algorithm. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'm already to 4,000, so you never miss daily Arsenal transfer news videos. And I hope to catch you all in my next one. Take care.